Welcome to the HEARTS Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lyn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the HEARTS Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts. And today I've got a really special guest. Her name is Puja Shah, and she is a relationship healing coach. So very warm welcome to you, Puja.
Thank you, Lyn. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And we're going to be discussing something that's really fascinating that Puja has devised herself, and that's her Wonder Woman Toolkit. But before we get into that, I thought it'd be great to just give the audience a little bit of an idea as to how you've come to be doing what you're doing, Puja, and a little bit about yourself. So would you care to share a little bit about what's led you to where you are now and why you're doing what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone, I'm Puja and I'm a relationship healing coach. And the way I became one is a story in itself. So I have not been coaching all my life, but the reason why I started coaching is because of the troubles that I faced in my own life. And the trouble was that I am a product of a bad marriage. My parents had a bad marriage, and I have seen mostly everyone in my family who had a bad marriage. Looking into which I decided that I will never get married. You see, this is what kids do when they see their parents' bad marriage. But then things changed gradually. And then I did get married because of many reasons. I was pushed to get married and stuff like that. And then I realized that the patterns that were in my parents' bad marriage were rooting into my bad marriage. It was rooting into my newly wedded marriage as well. And that's the reason why I decided that there has to be a better way and there has to be something. I am always seeking for solutions. I don't like to live with my problems. I'm not someone who can live with problems. And I don't like to complain. Yes, I do like to tell everyone if I have a solution to something. So this is how it all started in a nutshell. So,
excellent. Well, I think that's how it all starts for most of us, isn't it? That we go through these problems ourselves, and we either, are driven to try and find solutions for them, and then think about, now I've got these results. I need to get this message out there and share it to the world and other women so that they can transform their relationships. I know that's what happened to me. So, Puja, your Wonder Woman Toolkit, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So as I said, when I started to discover what are the solutions, I was trying to mend my parents' relationships all the time. And it seems that nothing worked at that moment. There were a lot of self-help books that I read for them. There were other things that we were doing. Obviously, back in that day, there were not many coaches or counseling, especially from the place that I'm coming from. There was no such thing. All you do is, try to mend everything on your own, or you suffer in silence. That's what my mom used to do. And when I tried to understand my father's point of view, I understood where the problem was. But somehow I was not able to solve them. Things kept getting worse and worse for me as a child. I kept blaming myself for everything. I thought I was the problem to their whatever distress is in between them. I thought I was the problem, and I blamed myself so badly that I suffered not just in my studies, but in my career as a whole. I didn't pursue my career the way I wanted to. Anyways, and then when I realized that these are the patterns that I was seeing in my early marriage, I learned that, oh my God, I don't want my marriage to be like my parents' marriage, and I don't want to become like my mother. Mm-hmm. So because I knew how kids suffer in a bad marriage. So this is the reason why I started working on everything for myself, what happens and what doesn't happen, what can be taken care of, how can I deal with it. And this is the time when I took a journey within and I realized that we are all a Wonder Woman inside. We just need an awakening of the real powers that we have. And hence, that's where the toolkit comes from, like the Wonder Woman toolkit.
Excellent. So thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your backstory and what's led you to where you are right now and creating this Wonder Woman toolkit. So can you give us an insight then as to what has actually contained, and give us a little bit of an overview as what's contained within the toolkit and how it specifically helps women to change their relationship status?
Yes, 100%. So, Wonder Woman Toolkit. So, I work with women unhappy in their marriage, and I equip them with all the tools that they need to change their marriage without trying to change their husband. So, that's why Wonder Woman Toolkit, which means we don't need to change our husband, or we don't need to, any participation from them in order for this marriage to change. So basically, I focus on this method, which is working with women. So when I have realized with my marriage and with my parents' marriage that there are certain unhealed wounds that we need to heal in order for our marriage to work. So when you are presented with a problem in your relationship, there is something that is not healed within you. And instead of focusing on the marriage itself, we sometimes focus on our husband and we try to change them, which is not the real problem. The real problem is the problems that we face in our marriage. So my method is around working with women, her emotional strengths, and making her emotionally strong, healing her wounds, and changing your blueprint in order for your marriage to work. So you don't need a participation from husband.
No, and this is exactly the way I also manage clients' problems, is helping them to see that it isn't a blame game, exactly. And it's not about changing their partner. It is about looking within and knowing that, we have an equal, regardless of how bad that situation is, we're equally responsible for that situation. Even if it's just allowing unacceptable behavior, we're still responsible to some degree, So like you say, it is about more looking within, and then by changing our own thoughts, patterns and behaviors, that then has a positive knock-on effect on their behavior, the partner's behavior, doesn't it?
Exactly. I have witnessed this in my marriage, and I have witnessed this in my parents' marriage, and now I'm witnessing the same in my client's marriage. And this is so wonderful because we don't need no participation from husband, because it is so hard work to change them. I know that because I have a husband myself, and they're not very easy to change. But it is easy to change the way we look at it. It is easy to change, how we react or respond to certain events. And that's what makes the difference.
So can you give an example, say, from your own, if you don't mind, or maybe a client? Obviously you don't need to mention any names from a confidentiality point of view, but, could you talk us through a specific problem that was happening in that relationship? I know it could be one of many that was happening previously that is not now happening. What was the challenge that your client was facing that our audience might be able to relate to?
Yeah, 100%. So the challenge that she was facing was, she was the one who was looking after 3 kids, and her husband was not participating in any way, let alone be just the housework, but he was not even participating in terms of emotional connections, or in terms of talking out certain things, or saying like, hey, how's your day been? Is there something I can help you with? Because she had some challenges around her kids, and she was not able to cope with everything on her own. All she needed was some kind of guidance or someone to speak to, because sometimes these are the problems that we are not comfortable speaking with either of the families or the friends. Some things it has to stay within the family. Do you know what I mean? So this is where she was. This is what she said to me, that, when I need him at the end of the day, and he was working different shifts, like he was working at night and she was working during the daytime, and there was no time when they can connect. And she was not working even because she was looking after the kids. So there was no career stuff. So that was her another problem, that she wanted to pursue a career in middle of what she was doing. And so this is where basically she was. And I think there was a clash in values and principles as well. She valued being on time, and he valued doing the things that he likes to do. Like, for example, like say fixing the lights or fixing the curtains or something like that that's in the pipeline. And the way he picked up the timings to fix something was not in kind of, was not aligning with her values, because she wanted to be on time for party and he wanted to fix something in the house, so which will make them late for the party. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So this is where they were kind of, and that's the clash that she was facing, and that is one of the reasons why they were triggered to fall into an argument, or kind of, and then it led to everything that we don't want in a marriage. So when we worked with her and we realized that why is this causing, and what was at the core of it is because the way husband grew up, and he had certain blocks from his parents, and the way she grew up, my client, she had blocks from her parents. And when she cleared her end, I think she helped her husband as well to do the same. And that is the difference that made the difference.
Wow. So it is, like you say, it is looking at the self and going within rather than looking at our partner and pointing the finger of blame, isn't it? And so what were, I suppose, one or two exercises that you gave her in terms of, a couple of tools out your Wonder Woman toolbox that you'd be happy to share with our audience?
100%. So the first tool that we gave her was to go within. Sometimes we feel that going within, it's like doing meditation or stuff like that. But the way I like to put it is, just take out some time for yourself and see how you're feeling, see how you want to do certain things. It's just called like a time off from everything, from kids, from house chores, and from whatever you're doing, if it is a job or a career or a side hustle. And that was the first thing that we gave her, to spend some time alone. And this is the time when you realize that, what is it that I really want? What is it? You sit back and watch, basically. So that is the first thing that helped her. And
right.
The
so
second,
it's observing yourself,
yeah,
and obviously observing what's probably previously gone on for you within your dynamic of your own relationship, or whether that's a marriage or just even dating. Sometimes it can have, you can have problems, can't you?
Yeah, 100%. And the second thing we did was the self-care routine, because the way she described herself, we realized that we are not doing what we really want to do, either because of kids or because we are so occupied in other things, and we just don't have enough time for ourselves. But we do have time for everyone else, but we don't look after ourselves. And when we don't look after ourselves, we are not coming from the right place to look after everyone else. So then she focused on self-care. Sometimes self-care could be, going to a spa or something like that. But then for her, it was pursuing her career. So she started, like, I don't know, she studied something and she did not continue that. So for her, self-care was to continue that, because that's what gave her the highest happiness.
Because I think sometimes we let go of who we really are when we enter a relationship. We forget, don't we, what we were doing when we were single and not dating and not in a relationship that fulfilled us, and what was, attractive to our partners in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what happened was, when she started behaving the way she was before, I think probably her husband eventually catched up with the reality of where they were to start with.
Excellent. And I think it does have that definite knock-on effect to our partners. We don't have to try and change them, because quite often I think women also make the mistake of trying to change their partners to be more like them. And then, if he does comply and actually does behave and be more like them, then we're not attracted to that anymore.
So being a coach, let me tell you what I was doing under the line is when she changed herself, in the sense that she looked after herself, she observed what she was doing. And this is the point where I call you're changing your frequency. And when you change your frequency, your husband will eventually catch up. I know this is easier said than done, but this does happen. I'm not saying this happens overnight. It does take time, but then it does happen. Like they eventually catch up. They say vibration is contagious. So
yes,
so it's whether it's negative or positive. So all we are doing is we're taking control of our frequency, we're taking control of our own self, and rather than blaming someone else, we take control, we take responsibility.
excellent. And like you say, I think one of the important things you raised there is raising your own vibration first, and then they and other people as well, raise theirs to match, don't they? And like you say, it doesn't happen overnight. So it's about giving that time and space as well, for those changes to happen and for him to catch up, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
And do you think it's possible for any sort of relationship, no matter how bad, or do you think there's actually some situations where you've got to sort of, get them to think about, is this relationship actually ever going to get better? And really, actually, maybe the answer is to leave it.
Yeah. So the question that I normally ask is, has this relation been always like that since the starting of the marriage? Or was there anything good in your marriage when you got married or something like that? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So was there a good phase at all in your marriage?
Yeah.
Or was it like that from the starting? So the answer really depends on the client itself. I never say to my client that you should stay in your marriage or you should not stay. All we are saying is, we are only assessing if this marriage has a chance. And if it not, then, you can be happily divorced as well. You don't have to be happily married all the time. But I do believe I value staying married. That's why I do what I do. I don't believe in divorce. I don't believe anyone should get divorced because, the way we live life, it's better with a partner. It makes it more beautiful if we know how to deal with each other.
Yeah, I suppose, but it's like you were saying, a lot of us repeat the cycles, don't we, of our parents. And it's knowing that you don't necessarily have to fall into that same trap. You can break that cycle. So if their relationship wasn't a good role model or an example of a great relationship, then just know that you don't have to point the finger at yourself or at them and think that, just because my parents had a bad marriage, then I'm just going to be always having a bad relationship. It can change, and it is easy to change that cycle and break that pattern, isn't it?
Exactly. Once you know why is it happening, you can always deal with it. A problem is not a problem if you have a solution. So,
and also I think it's important to say, that although I'm like you, and I'm on a mission to sort of have a global impact on reducing divorce, domestic violence, self-harm and suicide, because I know all those things come on the back of having poor relationships. But what I'd like to say is that, I would never condone anybody staying in a relationship that was toxic, for example, where there was, abuse or any sort of violence within it. But what I think we are saying as coaches and experts is that, you can prevent it getting to that stage, and you can actually, make sure you're not attracting that even in the dating phase from a partner, can't you? So that you can ensure that you've got the best chance of having a healthy, fulfilling relationship.
Yeah, 100%. Also, I would like to say that, when we say that you can change a relationship on your own, women does not have to take all the burden on her. She should not feel that, oh, now I have to take so much responsibility and it's all down to me whether the marriage will work or not. No. We have to be kind to ourselves as well. At the end of the day, we got so many responsibilities, and it's not about you have to do it. It's about you are equipping yourself with the tools and you are using it at the right time. So this is not like, like one night hit. No, it's not like that. It's about you are equipping yourself with the right tools and you just apply them when you need it. It's all about that. So I don't want women to think that, that much, the pain on themselves, or so much heaviness on their shoulders. No.
I think that's a good point, because a lot of us are probably going to be thinking when we're listening to something like this that, why is it always the woman that's got to take that responsibility for creating a healthy change in a relationship? And it's not about that. But what I have found is that women tend to share, and men tend not to. So, because there is a difference in the way men think, behave, and obviously physically they're different as well, they're less likely to seek help. They're less likely because, their ego as well gets in the way. They want to try and be more autocratic and sort out the problem for themselves. They don't think it's manly to seek help outside of themselves. So I think it's important for us as women to recognise that, it is quite difficult for men to seek help. And that's why, women can be the leaders, I suppose, in this, and the example for how, by changing themselves, they can make it safe for men to change themselves too.
Yeah. The way I look at it, Lyn, is, we are better at taking responsibilities for our kids, for our relationship, and for our career compared to men. So that is why we are doing this. We're not doing this because a husband is not taking responsibility. We have to take 100% responsibility towards our relationship. And then when we have so much responsibilities, we have to be equipped with the tools. That's all we are saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is what I called my method, Wonder Woman Toolkit, because we are all Wonder Womans.
We are all Wonder Women, and that's why, there's so many great women out there doing such good work like yourself, Puja, who are devising things to help women, be better equipped, but also letting women know that, the onus isn't all on you, but the reason we're sharing this and why it is a good thing for you to accept that, sometimes we as women have to take the lead in this, because we are the ones that how should I get my teeth back in, source, are more likely to source self-help, because we are women, purely because we're different to men, and we are more likely to source self-help, and therefore likely to share. When we think about the way girls solve problems, is by talking to each other and sharing. Men aren't like that. So I don't think that they're escaping their responsibilities, and that we're not targeting them, and that we don't think they should take equal responsibility. We do think they should take equal responsibility, but they just have to process information differently to women, is what we're saying. And it's just understanding and forgiving them. So that's the way they do their thing within this context, don't they?
Yeah. Believe me, having these tools does not make my life any easy. It's just that you become, you respond better. That's the difference that it makes for me. I have to forgive my husband for so many things, and I have to deal with the same problems that probably any woman would be going through in her marriage. So I am no different. The only difference that it makes to my marriage is that, you come from a place of understanding rather than playing a victim card. That's the difference.
Yeah, it's understanding and responding from a place of love and compassion, rather than reacting and finger pointing and blaming from a place of fear, isn't it? It's a difference between those two things usually.
Yeah, 100%.
So what things can women do, when you're helping them identify? Because I think, sometimes women, I know they will respond with, I haven't got time for any self-care. What's your attitude to that when they come up with that response, Puja?
Yeah, that's a lovely question, Lyn, because, as I mentioned with one of my clients, self-care does not always necessarily have to be like getting ready the way you want to, or painting your nails, or going to spa, or watching movies. It could be anything. Like if you value working on your career, that is your self-care. You're looking after yourself. Treat yourself like a 5-year-old, and you do everything for yourself that needs to be done. So, which we do anyway, but sometimes there is a guilt. This guilt is holding us back. So just letting go of guilt will automatically, help you with your self-care. You don't have to be guilty if you look after yourself. Sometimes women come to us and they say that, I don't deserve this kind of coaching because I have to suffer. So there is some kind of, I have seen, and believe me, God's honest truth, I have seen people like this and, forget coaching. I have to help them with their own self-worth. So yeah, so self-care could be simple as doing things that you really, really want to do without guilt.
Absolutely. And do you know what? It isn't selfish to give
Yeah,
yourself self-care, because without you being the best version of yourself, you can't give to others. Because if
exactly.
you are depleted, then you're going to be more irritable and you're less likely to have peace in your relationship, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
So when I have clients that say, I haven't got time to fit in any self-care, I'm overwhelmed as it is, I just ask them the question, well, what can you, what can you let go of to make
Yeah,
time for you? Because it's so important. It's that important.
yeah, yeah. In this day and age, we have to let go of our mobile phones, and then you
Yes.
have lots of time. 100%. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's the way we are conditioned, Lynn, the second woman that I was talking about. It's just the way you're conditioned. You're conditioned, especially from the background that I come, you're taught all these things where you are said that, do as your husbands please, don't say anything, do not complain, please compromise and stuff like that. So this is the conditioning that we have to let go before we can do anything else.
Yeah. And it is, like you say, that important word, conditioning. We've been conditioned to think a certain way. We've been conditioned to behave a certain way. We've been conditioned to react rather than respond. It's all about having this new level of awareness now, and being more conscious, isn't it, of what we're doing in terms of what we're saying to ourselves, in terms of our own self-talk, and then how is that impacting, how we might respond to somebody and
Yeah.
behave towards somebody, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Sometimes when we speak of self-talk, the way we are talking to ourselves, and then sometimes it might come as a wrong message that am I not even supposed to complain, or am I not even supposed to say what is it that I'm going through? But it's not about that. Yes, you can seek help, but make sure it's a professional help. Don't talk to your friends and family because they don't know any better. They are living their own life. They have their own problems. But if you discuss your problems with someone who don't have a solution, then that's not going to help you. It's going to make it worse. So it's not about you not mentioning your problems. It's just about don't keep repeating the same old broken record to your own self. Yes, you can say this to your to someone who can help you, but at the same time, don't keep living the same stuff over and over again in your own mind. That's what we are saying.
Stop repeating the patterns. And
Yeah.
I like what you said about not sharing this stuff with family and friends, because unfortunately, if you have people that you share your problems with who are family and friends, then they automatically have a bias then about your partner.
Yeah.
And if you resolve that problem, that bias is still going to be there from that family member or friend, isn't it? And they're not going to look at your partner maybe in a favorable way going forward. So, like you say, it's never a good idea, is it, to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Mostly what happens, Lynn, is you share something with your friend, for example, with regards to what might have happened between couples. And then, like you said, if the problem resolved and when you meet them next time, they are going to ask you, oh, how's he doing on that matter? And you wouldn't like that. So you are the one who will get hurt because of what you have shared before. This is what I have learned.
And all you're doing there is involving more people in your relationship. I mean, as Princess Diana said, there was 3 people in her marriage. And then quite often we can make that same mistake, can't we, by sharing with another family member or a friend, about what's going on, and then they're going to have, that impact or that perception about your relationship which isn't going to be a blessing going forward. It's just going to, be maybe bringing in that negative energy around you still, isn't it, going forward?
Yeah. And that is something that will keep you from healing anyway. So that is not what we recommend as a coach, do we, Lynn?
No, that's why, like you say, it's advisable to always speak to somebody who's neutral. If you can't afford to invest in a coach or an expert, then at least speak to somebody who's neutral about what's going on rather than involving anybody close to you.
Yeah, 100%.
So on that note, Puja, what is your best contact information for anybody that's interested in finding out more about your Wonder Woman Toolkit?
Yeah, so you can book a call with me. We can provide you with a link, which is a Calendly link, and you can book a call with me and you can talk to me about it.
Okay, so what's your main platform for actually getting contact?
So you can contact me on Facebook. I have a page which is Relationship Coaching with Puja.
Relationship Coaching with Puja. It's Puja Shah, Shah, on Facebook. And we'll always make sure that Puja's information regarding other contact information is in our show notes. So be sure to check Puja's information in the show notes. And on that final word, Puja, I'd just like to say thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and a little bit about your Wonder Woman Toolkit for helping women have healthier, happier relationships.
Thank you. Glad to be at service, and thank you for having me, Lyn.
You're very welcome. So listeners, I'm going to wrap up the episode like I always do by saying healing our hearts means opening your heart. And that's where true love starts. So until next time, goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lyn via the Facebook group 2 Hearts Entwined, or search Lyn Smith, inspirational speaker, at LinkedIn, or email lyn@hearts-entwined.com. That's LYN@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.